Let's bring you this now. The IFP has slammed the EFF, accusing the party of taking a page out of the ANC's People's War Handbook when it woke South Africa up with claims of an assassination plot against Marshall Dlamini. The EFF said in a statement that the South African Police Service had told it that senior IFP leaders were plotting to assassinate the party's Secretary General. The IFP says the EFF's claims are sensationalist, unsubstantiated and fabricated allegations. Let's get reaction now from the IFP. We speak to party spokesperson Mkhuleko Hlengwa. Thank you so much for your time this evening. We spoke to the EFF and they say that these senior leaders go as higher up as you can and this assassination plot is real. Are your senior leaders planning to kill Marshall Dlamini?
Have you ever heard of the term hogwash? It would perfectly characterize and summarize what the EFF is saying. The SAPS, a short while ago, on one of SABC's radio stations, has come out to say that they do not know what the EFF is talking about, because you'll recall, the EFF said that they got this from the SAPS. The SAPS has said that it has distanced itself from this. But it's classical of the EFF, of course, to be, theatrical in their political approach. And their delusions of grandeur, obviously, are obviously in overdrive at this point in time. There's no basis for the allegations that they make, and there's no reason why anybody should kill Marshall Dlamini in any way, and we will be amongst those who would push back on it. That's if it was real. But in this case, it's an absolute lie. And so we've wasted the whole day today actually pushing back on a lie. And we are not going to be distracted by the EFF. We have got a duty where we have been to serve our people. We've got a duty to be honest and transparent as a party. And we've seen that they now have backtracked and say it's not the SAPS, but they got it from Minister Begicele. Our national chairperson has spoken to the minister, and the minister does not know what the EFF is talking about. So the authority of clarity on this will be the minister himself.
Okay. Again, I'm going to ask you a question that might see you repeat yourself for clarity. Are you saying that one person within your political party, who is that person, who had a conversation with the police minister, and the police minister says that he did not say this? Because I spoke to Senao Tambo here on the show. He says that it's the Minister of Police, and if he continues to deny it, we must ask him, because he did speak to the Secretary General of their party.
Bring the minister on the show and he will tell you. You see, here's the thing. This is moving parts, right? The EFF comes out this morning in a huge hullabaloo and says there's this plot by the IFP. They got it from the SAPS and the intelligence services. Then the intelligence services and rather says they don't know what the EFF is talking about. So now they shift and say it's the minister. So we contacted the minister and say, my guy, here's an allegation that is said to have come from you. And the minister says that he does not know what the EFF is talking about. I'm not a spokesperson, so he can come here and say what he needs to say. But here's the truth of the issue, Sisbongi. On the 25th of January, when we met with the EFF, they placed 4 issues on the table. 1, that the IFP must give them umhlatuze. 2, they had arrived at an agreement and an arrangement with the ANC that the ANC would appoint a proxy mayor in COJ, and 3, the EFF would appoint a proxy mayor in Eguruleni, and that the IFP4 must take over Mogale City. We rejected that. We are not agreeable to those terms of negotiations and offers that the EFF placed. As a result of that rejection, we have been called all sorts of manner of things by the EFF, which has now culminated into this latest theatrical approach, which seeks to say that Mr. Dlamini will be assassinated.
So what you're saying, pardon me for coming in there, what you're saying that then in their statement, because they're saying that the reliable intelligence reports illustrate that your senior leaders, believe that the Secretary General of the EFF is solely responsible for the collective decision they took to initiate and support motions of no confidence against your mayors and in several municipalities. So at the heart of this, you are saying is because there's issues now from council in coalition arrangements that are now playing out in public domains like this. So how then do residents of these municipalities trust then that service delivery is being delivered?
No. We must not make the mistake of overplaying the EFF's influence in these municipalities. Because you'll remember when they even read out the list of municipalities that they would take over, they included Ulundi. We've got 33 councillors in Ulundi. The EFF has got 2. That council has got 47 councillors. They don't know what they're talking about. That's the first point. Secondly,
yeah.
Yes, EFF participated in some of the government that we had, but they were not the alpha and omega of the coalition partners. So even if they pull out, in many of those municipalities, it does not derail the IFP-led governments in those spaces, like Umhlathuze that they wanted and so on. So even then, these motions of no confidence are neither here nor there. In Zululand last week, we were able to replace the EFF mayor. We have not lost that council. We are continuing on the work of filling the vacancies that have been opened by the EFF. So let's not overplay their influence. It's not as grand as they make it to be. So there's no disruption to service delivery, and we assure the residents of the communities where the IFP runs councils that services will continue consistent with the 10-point plan. And I want to reiterate that at the end of March, as we had announced in January, we will be doing an assessment of all our municipalities, and where leadership changes must be done, we'll be doing so. We are not distracted from the work of governing and government that we are doing.
Let's then look at another issue, because you say that, of course, you spoke to the minister to check. It wasn't you, of course, your party. They say there's going to be a meeting. The police minister says there'll be a meeting to then be able to look into this issue in depth and all of that. So are you aware of such a meeting?
No, they're not talking to us clearly. They're talking by themselves if there is such a meeting.
So they're saying it's the police minister who says he's going to be arranging this meeting, because the concern was that if there is no, this is a serious plot. If there is a plot and it exists, it's very serious. So it should be now that somebody's behind bars or is being questioned. So they say that the minister says that there is going to then be a meeting first with, all the parties involved. So I'm just wondering if you've heard of such.
Like I'm saying, if the minister is talking to the EFF, then he's talking to the EFF. In the first instance, what we need to verify, which is now dismissed by the SABC, is whether there's a plot or not. And the SABC are saying they don't know what the EFF is talking about. So as far as we are concerned, as we said this morning, and vindicated by the SABC, there's no plot. That's the first issue. Secondly, the minister has not made any approach on us for any meeting. We're not aware of any meeting. But that's what's peculiar. Because if there was such an allegation and it was true, the minister or whoever, let me say, should have spoken to the EFF and the IFP. But nobody's talking to us.
All right.
If they say senior members, senior leaders of the IFP, why have they not been arrested? Because that's what it is. And I feel for South Africans that they have to endure this kind of cheap politicking at the behest of the EFF when we are so fundamentally concerned about the daily lived conditions of our people who need service. That's our focus.
I suppose then now we need to find the police minister and understand another layer to this particular conversation to understand what's going on there. But thank you so much for your time and the right of reply, and of course to what exactly is happening. So we'll try then to get a sense of what's going on there. That's Mkhuleko Hlengwa, IFP spokesperson, and he says there's no truth to this. And so really this is, one of those stories where we now need the police minister to clarify exactly what is happening here.